Hi, my name is Janet Skinner. Sometimes in life we need a purpose to continue. And back in the early 1990s, I was looking for a reason to live, if you like. Just happened by accident one day that I saw that Geebung station, which is in Queensland, was going to be demolished and replaced. So I decided to paint it. And during the 1990s, I painted 104 railway scenes, and that kept me going. As I sat on the platform and railway sidings, old people would come over and speak to me and tell me about life in the good old days. These were elderly people. It transpired that many of them were born in the early 1900s. I wrote down their names and phone numbers, and I went back and interviewed them. There's a series of some 35 railway tapes that I'm making of the interviews that I recorded in New South Wales and Queensland. I'm not a journalist. I've got no background training in interviewing, and I really hope you enjoy these films. I hope they bring laughter to many and insight into what life used to be like. And please bear with me. I had fun doing them, and I hope you have fun listening to them. Thank you so much. Okay, we're talking to Phyllis, and you were born in Werris Creek.
I was born in Werris Creek.
Gee. Okay. I know nothing of Werris Creek at all. I just stopped there one day, did a couple of sketches, and off I went. So I don't know anything. I don't even know anything about the town or where it's near or anything.
Well, it's between...
Give me a feeling for Werris Creek.
Oh, Werris Creek. It's between... Well, it's 28 miles south of Tamworth and about 11 miles north of Crindai. Sort of in the no-man land. In the early days, not now, it was the central point for the railways.
Right.
The trains came from Sydney to Werris Creek, and it was the junction. They went north to Tamworth, or then we changed trains and went out to Narrabri or Binnaway. Rob sort of knows the railway better than me because I grew up there, but I grew up in a farming environment, not a railway environment, because my father worked on the land.
Right.
That's
fine. That's fine. A lot of people I talk to haven't worked on the railway at all and just lived in the towns, and that's just as interesting.
Yeah.
So it was a massive station to look at, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the heyday, the station was the main focal point of Werris Creek. The ref room there was the meeting place. I mean, in the early days, they had a full bar, full meals. You could go, a lot of people went there after hours, and that's where you sort of had socialised. It was a big socialising point.
Right. Bob, would you know how many trains would be going in and out of Werris Creek a day? Sort of going back to 20 years or so? In the days of steam trains, what do you reckon?
I'll go back to the 50s. I'll get an accurate date.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
It was a big farming area.
It was a big farming area.
Oh yeah, wheat and sheep, a big thing at Werris Creek. Oh, a lot
Has it built up now then, has it, or not? I don't know.
No, still much the same, still very big farming area now. I mean, still a lot of wheat and sheep. I think as you go out further, you'll find that they've diversified into like the sunflower and the sorghum and that. A lot of milo was grown, but it was mainly sheep and cattle. My dad worked for different properties around there, and it was all sheep and cattle, you know, and wheat. And wheat. He grew wheat.
What your dad did?
Yeah, he used to plough it up and grow wheat never owned land, but he always worked for things. He started working on the land. He was born at Werris Creek too, and he started working on the land when he was 14.
So was your dad family from English descent or European?
English.
English.
Yes.
Okay, Bob, I just asked you About the 1950s, did we say?
Oh, well, actually, yes, 1950, actual from the 23rd of November 1952.
Right.
The working timetable's approximately 28 trains a day.
We go in and out of Werris Creek?
No, just in.
In to Werris Creek. Right, just in to Werris Creek. Right.
So you work on about the same many out.
Yes, so goodness me, it's a lot, isn't it?
Mm. That's timetable trains, that's not specials, stock specials, grain specials.
That's time. Goodness. And what were they mainly carrying then, those 28? I mean, what is...
There's coal from Gunnedah, grain from the northwest, stock from the northwest, fruit from Wollongara, just general commodities, petrol from Newcastle, empty wagons going to be filled up on their branch lines.
And these are all steam trains at this time,
Yep.
aren't they?
Yep.
Gee, that would have been a sight, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Well, imagine the noise and that, and the soot and the smell.
See, where I lived outside of town, about a mile and a half out, and in front of our house, across the paddock, you could see the rail.
One in the front and one in the
So there
back.
were steam trains going by all the time, weren't there?
Yeah, well, see, in those days, it was normal. It wasn't a big deal.
Mm.
I mean, you know, you'd have your odd fire, you know, and you know, I think, you had to burn off, from the train because, sparks. And you'd the side of the road to catch a light. But it was normal. It wasn't anything unusual. See, growing up, to me, it was normal. It wasn't...
Yeah.
I can still remember in England, it's about 4 or 5 year old, catching steam trains, and I can remember how excited of seeing my first electric one. Or when we get an electric one this time.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely great, you know.
But,
And then
it's one of those things that was just there. I mean, when I first started high school in Queensland, we didn't have, it's 11 miles, but we didn't have a direct route to go to school. One day, it just to work out, one day we'd catch the train down to Queensland and have to catch the bus home, and we'd go miles. You'd take hours to get around, and the next day we'd have to catch the bus down and catch the train home.
Why was that then? Why one day, one thing, one day?
Run the alternative days,
The
different
train
direction.
used to run alternative days, and that's when we had to catch it. And that went on for 12 months, and this was 1960. And then there was a big election year, and we managed to get a direct school bus route through the elections. But in those days, and I remember the chap up there behind us, Newcombe, they went to school in Tamworth, and they used to have to catch the train to school in the early part in the same era, and they had to walk down in the train and pull up at the gates there just below us, and they'd get on and catch the
Used to
train.
do
So
that.
did you actually catch your train from Werris Creek Station then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Werris Creek to Queensland. And so in those days, and it was mainly, it was diesel. No, it was diesel.
Yeah, diesel in your,
Yeah, with diesel.
48 class mainly.
But Werris Creek was known for its wheat silo. Huge amount of wheat used to come into that silo there. And it's still a big wheat silo, as far as I know.
Oh,
See the tail still on it?
yes. It's off
Piston
on, it's
tail.
off on this one, isn't it?
Mm.
And that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which
Because
is a shame.
I looked there and I thought there's supposed to be a tail on there.
I can probably fix that up, you know.
No, if that's the way it is at Dorrigo.
Yeah, but the thing is, it looks like it's being used here, doesn't it?
Yep,
So therefore,
yep.
when I first started to paint steam trains, before I really got into it, the idea, Bob, was to create pictures of
Yep.
what it would be like when it's moving. But now I've given up all that, and I'm actually as they are today. You know what I mean? Like,
Closed it?
if they're not in a working situation, then I don't put them in a working situation anymore.
No, because I think
Because
you've got to
obviously-
represent what they are.
Yeah,
Steam
because-
trains are not working
Because
anymore.
obviously they've taken pieces off.
Yeah.
But what I will write in my book, I will write about that as a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
And that's how I'm changing as an artist. You know, I wouldn't know if a little bit was missing off a bit.
No,
You know,
until someone who
tells you, knows
tells
about
you.
it. That's right.
You
But
know.
today. And, okay, so Any happenings on Werris Creek Station that you can remember that was unusual?
Not really. Robert probably know more about
Yeah.
the railway station. I mean, I worked on the trains as a buffet girl.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, out of Werris Creek?
Out of Werris Creek to Moree.
So what do you mean as a buffet girl? I know nothing about that.
Well, we used to have a buffet girl. We had a little compartment. Single girl.
Not married girls.
Singles? Yeah.
Oh no, the married girls worked, but I mean we were on our own. We didn't have like the big diners today, and you just had like a pie up, and then we sold sort of tea and coffee, retail alcohol, which thing. We had sandwiches and different things like that. You know, and you serve. Yeah, that's how people got fed between Werris Creek and Moree. I was stationed at Moree and we used to work into Werris Creek. We'd leave Moree about 5 in the afternoon and get into Werris Creek about 10:30 and then we'd have a break till 3 o'clock in the morning and we'd have to catch the train then at 3 back to Moree. And that's how I met my husband.
Right.
Hey, at 3 o'clock in the morning, you never used to get much customers, so you used to try and get 40 winks. He'd come back at Gunnedah and woke me up.
Let's just talk a little bit about the painting at the moment. We haven't got the whole painting here because I haven't got a photograph of the other. Oh, yes, I have. Spot of luck. I've put them in there. So that goes there. Like that. Still a bit missing. Anyway, looking at the painting on the far right-hand side, maybe Bob, you can help me with this too. What would that part of the station be used for? The far right-hand side, it's got a chimney on the roof.
That was where they used to cook the pies and everything, meals in there.
Because that was the rec room area.
And up above was the hotel.
Where we slept.
Yeah, hotel. That used to be a hotel until it closed.
Right.
For bedding accommodations for passengers who were waiting overnight for their trains.
So we're talking about the very right-hand side of the building, underneath that chimney.
Yeah, that was part, yep.
Okay, then we come along to a square-looking bit that's got 4 windows upstairs.
Yeah, that was the hotel part.
That's the hotel part, yeah.
And that's where we used to stay when we came in on the trains. The buffer girls. The girls, the girls from Sydney. When they had to wait over their train, the girls that come in from Moree, we had 3 or 4 hours, we could sleep up there. Right. And the girls that came down from the Wallangarra line, Glen Innes line, we all slept there.
Right. And underneath there, what is that area?
That's the dining room, ref room.
Right, okay.
And that was a big, big thing in the early days, wasn't it?
Right. Okay, and then you've got, I wonder why these buildings were separated, why they didn't join it. There was like a station master's office and things.
That's right, yep.
We're looking now, I'm just talking on tape, we're looking now down the first sort of archway, there's 2, there's one on the right and there's one in the middle. We're talking about the one on the right now. That was like a station where you bought tickets and things,
booking office, parcel office, station master's office.
Right. What, this overhead walkway, was that there when you were there?
No, that was added in the 1970s.
Right, okay.
So when they made it into a district superintendent's office.
Right. Coming along a bit more now, what were all these rooms for?
They were the administration office for the Northern Division.
Right.
District superintendent's office, right along the top. That's the way the building was. District's offices shifted there from Murrurundi.
Right. This was just a tunnel, this next
Just an archway for employees to enter, because the waiting room was across here.
Right.
The employees' room, locker room was there, and the parcel office back entrance where they took the trolleys of parcels in was there.
Right. So looking at the tunnel, the trolleys and the parcels was on the right-hand side of the tunnel, and on the left-hand side was what was the
waiting room.
Left-hand side of the tunnel was the waiting room. Okay, and I suppose these were all waiting rooms continuing along, were they?
They were different types of rooms for the northwest platform. The men's toilet, of course, is up here. And their door entrance to the district superintendent's office.
Right. Right. Now, what's this piece on the far left-hand side of the painting sticking
That's
out
the
on
toilet.
its side? That's the toilet. Okay. Ladies and men's, did you
No,
say? Men's.
no.
Where's the
Ladies was around in here.
ladies were
Yeah.
through the tunnel in there. Yeah. Okay.
And they used to have a separate ladies' room there too.
Well, they'd made it one.
These were flagpoles, were they, sticking
Yep.
up? So, Australian flags or whatever?
Yeah,
Whatever special day type
Yeah.
thing? Yeah. I wonder what they're going to do with this building, because it's completely...
it's still used today as an administration office
It
for
was
the Northern Division.
There was just nobody there, though.
Yeah, I know, it always looks...
But I mean, the rep room was the big. I mean, even like when people like there used to be picture shows there, like they had an open air one and
What
a
picture shows where?
No, at Werris Creek.
Oh, Werris Creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but after the pictures,
Right.
most of the people young people went to the reference
Right.
because it was the only thing open.
Open at night.
And that's where they went for the coffee and went for the social activity. It was a really big thing. You know.
And today, when I went there, it was in the middle of the week, there was not a soul anywhere. I tried to find just anybody to talk to. There was nobody. It was absolutely quiet.
Werris Creek's virtually is
So
gone.
why has
It's-
it died now then? Bob?
It's a dieselisation, no, nothing being replaced.
And transport.
Would there have been a coal stage there?
Oh yes, elevated.
Right. To the left or to the right of the station?
No, down this way.
Right.
Oh, the yard was huge.
Yeah, it was
The original yard was
It was
huge.
huge.
And the water tower and that, I suppose.
Oh, there was numerous water towers, but there was never any at the Sydney end of the platform.
Right. So the coal stage was at the Sydney end or the other end?
No, it was in the main marshalling yard,
Which is where?
south of the station.
South. There's a signal box too, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah. I only took photos of the signal box, not...
Yep, it's been there since virtually when the Werris Creek was modelled.
Right. Okay. So, Bob, did you work out there most days? Quite a while?
From 1966 until 74
Right.
on steam and diesel.
Right.
Had 4 directions. Armidale, got to Gleniness once when the Northern Tablelands diesel set failed. We towed it to Gleniness, stopped there at night and towed it back to Werris Creek, a Deb set. And this is the only time I got north of Armidale, Moree to the northwest, Narrabri west on the Walgett line. Been away to the west towards Dubbo and Newcastle in the south.
Right. I'd like to talk a little bit about Newcastle, whatever, in a little while. You were saying earlier before you got on the tape about some tunnels out of near Werris Creek.
There is 2 tunnels near Werris Creek. One was at Ard Glen between Murrundi and Willow Tree, and the other one was north, which was only about 2 kilometres long, between Limby and Danglemar.
Right. And did you go through those with steam trains yourself? Or?
Yes.
And you were saying about the difficult... Did you have breathing apparatus in those?
There was respirators supplied at Murrundi for steam working, which you had to use in the Ard Glen tunnel. If you didn't, you baked.
Right. Can you tell me, I've got one little story about it, but I really still haven't got the... Tell me about the respirators. Exactly how...
The respirator kit was a bag handed to the engineman on arrival at Murrundi. It comprised of 2 mouthpieces, which you put over the mouth, a cape hood you put over your head and body. You look like a spaceman. For the heat of the tunnel, especially if a southerly wind was blowing behind you going through the tunnel, because you're going so slow through the tunnel that the fumes and fire, heat and everything out of the firebox was going through the smoke box, out of the chimney and hitting the roof straight above you and straight over. The mouthpiece guards, you had a couple of pieces of cloth you had in there. You put them in water, saturate them in there. You had air connections to the train air system. You turned on when you entered the tunnel. Before you went into the tunnel, you made sure you had enough fire and steam to go through the tunnel without opening the fire hole door, so you wouldn't be, the heat from both wouldn't be severe.
So that must have been quite frightening. Can you imagine that? Go.
Yeah,
Did
one
you
bloke.
get claustrophobic with that one?
No.
I obviously would.
No.
But obviously they wouldn't have done the job if they hadn't got claustrophobic. Did anybody have to leave because of that side?
Yeah, one bloke was injured and one bloke was killed. His grave's still headstone in Werris Creek.
Because of what?
Of that before they had respirators.
What, they died because of the heat?
Yeah.
What, they suffocated, I suppose?
Yep.
His grave's at Werris Creek.
Yeah, we've got a photo of it somewhere at home here.
Gee, that's terrible, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness me. Oh, I think that would be awful. So how long did it take to go through a tunnel?
Depends on what sort of load and sort of engine you had. If it was a good engine, it'd take about 4 minutes.
Right. Go and change the subject. What about these tunnels down at Lisco then? Were they longer or?
No, there's 10 of them. We know them as the rat holes. I've been through there on steam engines, but we didn't use them because I was only on passenger trains. Only used respirators on freight trains because of the slow speed, and again only in one direction, from Zigzag to Nunes Junction, because it was uphill.
Incredible.
But you had a bit more breathing, a bit more space with those tunnels because they were double line, where Ard Glen was only single line.
Bob, can you think of any interesting, unusual happenings that happened at Werris Creek? You know, I don't know, whatever.
Snow.
Strange snow.
It did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it snow at Werris Creek?
I wasn't there.
No. Normally it only snows on the mountains.
Snow, eh?
Yeah.
Gee.
It would have been about 62, 63, it might have been a year later. I was in high school, so it was in that area.
Right.
And it was a funny thing. It usually doesn't snow in Werris Creek. We're a bit low. Usually up Tamworth, Walker, that way up.
Right.
Sometimes we used to get on peaks at the back of Terrible Village, which is an extinct volcano too. And we went to the pictures. It was Saturday night we went to the pictures. My dad always took us to pictures on Saturday night. And come home, it was a Friday night. It was really crisp, but wasn't cold because it was in the middle of winter. Got up next morning and she was white.
It snowed, did it?
It snowed. And instead of snowing up Tamworth and up on the ranges, it snowed from Tamworth to through Kundai, Murrundi, all that way, in an area that had never snowed before. And it laid white.
Did that play havoc with the railway snow at all, or not really?
No.
But the chemist did get the problem.
Pardon?
The chemist had a problem. They were waking him, knocking him up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get films for their cameras.
Yeah, I bet.
And the other big thing that happened at Werris Creek when they blew up the dry cleaners.
I don't think we should talk about that.
Yeah, blew up the dry cleaners. I remember that.
So Phyllis, did you have anything to do with Newcastle station at all?
No.
Okay. Great. Now, Newcastle, Bob, did you work in and out of there at all?
Yes, I worked in there from 1960 when I was stationed at Gosford, then on the Newcastle Expresses, operating between Sydney and Newcastle from 64 to 66.
Right. Okay. I'll see if I can find a picture of Newcastle station. There again, I only went there for the day and I know nothing of the area. Bob, tell me a little bit about the area, do you know?
Newcastle station was built, don't ask me, in the CBD district, which had 4 platforms. It was a suburban railway station also. The photo you have got there only depicts the building and number 2 platform. It's in the electrified area. It's the same buildings and platforms were there in the steam era. It had 4 platforms. 1 and 2 virtually were used for the country trains, and the whole 4 platforms were used for the suburban network, which operated trains to Belmont, Toronto, Maitland and Singleton and Dungog.
Right.
It's quite nicely designed, isn't it? Didn't you think?
It was built in
Lovely
the
old chimney.
it's built in the early late 1890s or early 1900s. I have not got any history on Newcastle, but again you'll be able to get that from the State Rail Authority archives.
Yeah. I was quite intrigued by all the chimneys and stuff there.
Yep.
I thought a lot of thought and work had gone into it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's about all really, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a dining room there, ref room, ticket office, parcel office, big marshalling yard for carriages. They had wharves there.
Right.
In the olden days it was the, when the line opened from Newcastle to Maitland, it actually did not open from that station.
Right.
It opened from a place called Suffolk, where Suffolk Station is now.
Right.
And there was another unusual station next to Suffolk. Would you like to know what it was called?
Yeah, what?
Mortuary.
Mortuary. I think is it still there?
No,
No.
Mortuary's the other one you're thinking of is in Sydney, Regent Street.
Right. Did they have a coal stage at
No.
Newcastle?
No.
Water?
Yes, they had water at the Newcastle end of the platform, or the terminal end, which they give the engines while the passengers were detraining, and then the shunt engine come on to pull the coaches away. The engines used to water, then run round and onto the coaches and do another suburban trip. Sometimes they're what you call a coal stage and what I call a coal stage, which are two types. There is a level type one between the tracks, which was in the marshalling yards, where tank engines could fill their little bunkers up of a ton of coal.
The one I was thinking of was the one...
Elevated.
Was the one at Main. Oh,
Yeah, elevated. Yeah, well that was at the main Broadmeadow depot, which supplied engines to the suburban network in Newcastle.
Oh, that's pretty good. Changing the subject again. You got any information on the type of loco in the Pacific or not?
No, it's only...
No.
They entered class as a CL class. They were taken out of service by the Commonwealth Railway and put back into service as a CLP, which eliminated one carriage on the consist of the train, a power car. That's why the P is there for passenger or power, for passenger carriages.
Yeah.
They've got another one there, CLF, which is only can work freight trains.
Yeah, this is the CLP that is in the painting, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the one that come up to Rome.
Yep.
Yeah. I know earlier you said that the 5069 used to go from, was it Sydney to Brisbane, did you say?
It's the class operation.
Yeah.
Yes, Sydney to Brisbane.
I thought the tracks were different always from Sydney to Brisbane.
No, you got
the
the uniform gauge, which ran from the border to South Brisbane of 4 foot 8.5.
When did they change that then?
It was never changed. Oh well, actually that is right.
Yeah.
When they built that railway, the Queensland Railway built that railway. They built it to 3 foot 6 era, and they run tourist trains down to Richmond Gap.
Right.
But in 1930 the train service stopped, and with the extension of the line from Casino to Brisbane, one rail was lifted from 3 foot 6 gauge and placed in the 4 foot 8.5 gauge.
Right. Okay, that's cleared that up for me.
And that was in September 1930.
So there's still only actually one line now, is there?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. In the Queensland network it's 3 foot 6, but in the uniform gauge, which runs now from Roma Street to Border Loop and beyond to Sydney, is 4 foot 8.5.
I'll stop there for a minute. Okay, Bob, we just discovered Muswellbrook. Muswellbrook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Used to be known as Muswellbrook.
Can I just have a look at the picture for a minute? Station. It's a nice station, isn't it?
Mm.
Nice station. Did you spend some time there, did you? Or
No, I just walked through it,
just
sightseeing.
Just go through it?
Yeah, on trains.
Yeah, sightseeing on trains. No, I was quite impressed. It was a big old brick building.
Yes, it's the same thing as Werris Creek. It had its ref room here, it's hotel type sleeping accommodation, the men's toilet, station master's office, the parcel office, and general up that
So
end.
the little building on the right
Yep.
hand side at the end, that was a parcel
Yes.
office, was it?
Mm.
And the middle, and the main building in the middle upstairs was that like hotel room, was
Yes.
it?
Mm.
Right. So what would the accommodation be like? I know obviously you never went there, but
Same as in Werris Creek.
Average at Werris Creek. Did you
Just a
have
bed and cupboard and a...
any heating in the room? Did you freeze? You froze.
Yep.
No heating.
Mm.
No, it would be
They
cold.
had
There
the,
was a main station for coal out of the Muswellbrook station. It was a branch line to Merriwar. Now it's the main north-south, north-west link, between the port of Newcastle and Dubbo and west and beyond.
Is that still a busy station today, Muswellbrook?
Not in terms of busy as in busy.
Right,
You see, it has through trains all the time.
right,
I can remember that yard being full of wagons
right.
when I used to work through it. It's all gone.
Well, all the wagons just parked there. I wonder how many lines are,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
six.
Two mainline loop and 4 sidings.
Right, okay. Great. That's about all, I think.
So that most probably some of them are pulled up now too.
What sort of area is Muswellbrook? Is it in the city of town, is it?
No, it's 79 mile from Newcastle or Newcastle.
So is it built up around it, or is it farming area? Is it
Farming area, grazing, dairying, coal mines.
Right,
Hunter River runs approximately a mile from the station.
right. That's great, thank you for that. Anything else you can think of?
No, not that I can think of.
No.
Had its own locomotive depot, which was way and beyond, about a mile, a bit over a mile from the station,
What, towards Sydney or the other way?
towards Sydney. It was only used in the coal traffic and branch line working, or in case your engine was a bit sick and you got a fresh engine at Muswellbrook.